One of the biggest battles of World War II would have been one that never actually took place. However, had it occurred, the course of the greatest conflict in history might have been different. Hitler's plan for a land invasion of Britain failed from the very beginning, partly due to significant losses in the Luftwaffe and partly because the Führer decided to prioritize the invasion of the USSR. The officially planned Operation Sea Lion was never carried out. On October 2nd, it was postponed until the following year. But the resilience of the Red Army left no room for such an endeavor. In the first 10 months of World War II, the Nazi war machine had conquered Poland, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Norway. With their advance to the English Channel, Great Britain was also threatened. Hitler offered the British a non-aggression pact, but when Churchill refused, Hitler was furious. On July 16, 1940, he signed Directive No. 16 for the execution of Operation Sea Lion, the invasion of Britain. The Luftwaffe was to establish the conditions for the invasion, but the German Navy faced the nearly impossible task of gathering enough ships and boats to transport the first wave of 100,000 men, equipment, and vehicles across the Channel. They had to consider the fact that the Royal Navy was far superior. The Nazis had very strong forces, about 157 divisions, including 139 infantry, 1 cavalry, 7 motorized, and 10 armored divisions. They also had around 3,500 aircraft. Due to disputes over insurmountable obstacles, it became increasingly unlikely that the action would begin before autumn. Hitler decided that the invasion would commence after the Luftwaffe had destroyed the numerically inferior Royal Air Force. At that time, Great Britain had only 700 fighter aircraft, but the Germans realized that the enemy could produce 470 fighters per month, twice the capacity of their own weapons industry. The British Ground Army had only 360,000 ready soldiers and about 1 million conscripts still in training. The anti-aircraft defense was not well organized, and the coastal front was not fortified. It seemed that the only salvation for the British could come from their powerful navy and the fact that a broad water barrier lay between them and the mainland. The USA remained neutral, and the battle was ready to begin. The first clash occurred on July 24th with an attack on a convoy in the Thames estuary. The official German offensive was codenamed Eagle Attack and began on August 13th. The real battle flared up in the first phase, where the Nazis aimed to destroy the naval base at Portsmouth and airfields across the country. The British shot down 47 aircraft while losing 13. Goering, furious with the disappointing outcome, organized an even larger attack on August 15th. A total of 1,790 fighters and bombers attacked Britain from Norway, Denmark, and northern France. The Luftwaffe referred to this day as Black Thursday. However, the British had little reason to celebrate as well. In the incessant attacks, mechanics and auxiliary personnel were also killed. On August 18th, 3 squadrons retaliated when their fighters dove onto Stukas, attacking a radar station. From August 16th to 18, the Germans lost 376 aircraft, while the British lost 213. The waiting was the hardest part, with pilots suffering from dry mouths and the metallic taste of fear. Every honest pilot admitted to feeling a savage primal joy when watching an enemy aircraft he had shot down fall. Polish pilots, whom the British had told not to target German pilots after they bailed out, sometimes shot at their parachutes, causing the enemy to fall to their deaths. Others were compassionate, remembering that they were not only destroying planes, but also killing or wounding human beings. A mix of exhaustion and fear created high levels of tension. Some left the battle under the pretext of a malfunction. In official military language, this was called a lack of moral fiber, and such pilots were reassigned to lower positions. The Luftwaffe took off with larger formations from uneven and improvised airfields. Dowding predicted a battle of attrition, and his greatest concern was damage to the airfields. Although the British almost daily shot down more enemy planes than they lost, their base was far more modest. The production of an astonishing number of planes alleviated one concern, but there was a deficit of pilots. To reduce losses, fighter squadrons were ordered not to pursue German attackers over the Channel. On the night of August 24th, over 100 German bombers missed their targets and mistakenly dropped bombs on East and Central London. This provoked Churchill to order a strong retaliatory attack on Germany. At this point, Göring made the biggest mistake of the campaign by shifting attacks from airfields to first the capital and then to other major cities, thereby easing the pressure on the British fighter command. London was ferociously bombarded, and the British still expected church bells to ring at any moment to announce the start of the invasion. From the beginning of September to mid-November, cities were attacked every night except one, on average, by 200 German aircraft. During this period, the Luftwaffe dropped 13,000 tons of explosive and incendiary bombs on London, Bristol, Birmingham, and other cities, losing only 75 aircraft, mostly in accidents. Relentless bombings and British intelligence reports created the impression that an invasion was imminent, prompting even stronger resistance from all available forces. On September 15th, an incredible 1,000 aircraft participated in an attack on the capital, 200 bombers and 800 fighters. Hitler postponed the start of the landing, planned near Brighton, because his Air Force had not achieved the expected results. That is, it had not destroyed the British military aviation. In early October, the Germans intensified night raids and cities burned throughout the day. The Nazi military command ordered the landing to be postponed until the spring of 1941, with the Luftwaffe continuing to bomb the island to exert political pressure. Following this, the assembled landing troops and ships were definitively dispersed. From October 25th, Italian aircraft also joined the air raids. In early December, the British fighter aviation achieved air superiority and began chasing enemy pilots across the French and Belgian coasts. The bombings continued with low intensity until the Führer began diverting aircraft for the attack on the Soviet Union. They inflicted enormous damage on major cities, eroding the spirit of millions of people who spent many nights huddled in shelters with their families and fears. The attackers took off from airfields in northern France and lost 1.5% of their aircraft per sortie, much less than the Royal Air Force would later lose when targeting German military cities. Some 40,000 civilians were killed, and about 130,000 were wounded. The Germans lost nearly 2,000 aircraft, while the British lost 1,500. The German failure in this battle occurred for several reasons. The Nazi aviation was neither suitable nor capable of executing strategic bombings. Since the attack on Great Britain was not carried out immediately after the fall of France, the enemy air force was not taken by surprise. Characteristically for Hitler, the enemy was underestimated and the strength of his own air force overestimated. Another problem was the limited payload of Göring's bombers. After the failure of Operation Sea Lion, Britain became the main European fortress and a base for the liberation of the European continent.